All right, apparently there's a couple issues. I was just gonna come out and diagnose the wiper blades not working. It doesn't start up though without starter fluid. So the little primer squirter, little primer pump in the carburetor isn't working. I mean, it just takes the smallest amount of starter fluid to get this thing to turn over. Just crank up and then it runs fine and it'll restart after that. But you can jam that gas pedal a few times, it still won't start up. So I didn't get a look down in there before we started all that. I can check that. I just found that out when we got here. The guy was like, hey, could you tell me what this is? So I'm gonna get him an estimate for rebuilding the carb, but I'm still gonna diagnose that wiper motor and a few other things. There's some oil leaks on the motor, like some oil dripping, and he wasn't even worried about that. I was like, I'll tell you where it's coming from at least, but it's an old truck or an old car. It's coming from everywhere, look. Like valve cover gaskets, probably not the head gasket, but everything up here is leaking. That valley, the intake manifold, plenum, whatever you want to call that. Down here, a little bit of that same stuff, but down on the transmission a ton. So it probably just needs like an overhaul to get rid of those leaks. I don't think he was even worried about that. One that is leaking kind of bad though is the rear diff. So I'm going to check that out and make sure I can see where it's coming from. And then I think once this one's running in good shape, it's going to get swapped out for a 55. I forget what it was. Something older that's been redone, reworked. Has a transmission leak. The rear seal on the transmission's leaking. Anyways, okay, that's good. I was hoping I didn't have to pull up the cowl or anything. That's the wiper motor there. I've got to figure out why it's not working. And hopefully it doesn't have 6 wires, but it looks like it does. Thing. So yeah, fun. Let's figure out what's going on with these, if they're not getting power or what. Hopefully they're just getting power. We just need a new motor. I was gonna say I haven't figured out how to turn the wipers on yet. I only gave it a 2-second try, and I think I just thought of it on the way out here. To grab the camera, I'm sure I have to push this forward. I was gonna say, can't find the wiper controls, or at least they're not labeled. Let's see if this does it. Oh no, that doesn't go forward or backwards. We got a turn signal. We got our parental switch. Where's the wipers, yo? All right, I'll let you know when I find them. All right, can you read that? Wiper washer. I just had to look around. Low and high. Okay. Washer what? Push. No power to anything. Okay, cool. The fact that that made the washer sound, I was worried it was the switch when that didn't go. I just wasn't pushing it hard enough. Because I was like, man, if it's, those are going to 2 different systems. Yeah, I was a little, oh, that's cool. Look, when you got the wiper off, that's why it didn't. When you push it, it twists itself into the on position. That's sick. Anyways, that's why I didn't go the first time, and that's why when I didn't hear that go, I was afraid, because that switch is going to 2 different things. That motor's separate from the sprayer motor is separate from the wiper motor. So if both didn't work, then I was like, we're not getting power to that switch, or the switch is broken. And that's way more of a headache to diagnose. But the fact that one worked and the other didn't makes me think it's probably that wiper motor. Now let's test for power. Turn this off. No, we didn't turn it on. Leave it on. Let's test it. Middle one power, white one ground, blue one nothing. I just remembered what the other vehicle they have is. It's a 55 Chieftain. That's how I remembered. Anyways, hopefully I get my hands on that one too to do some work. That'll make a cool video. I love working on classic cars. Let's check out this diff link leak before I get back up there and probably take that motor out to test it. All right. That is not a seal on the back though. Let's check the front. All right, there's your leak. It's probably almost empty too. It's leaking that much. Just got the gator scan boys. It's nice. Did they come like that from the factory? Somebody let me know. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I had to pull this up. Luckily, this thing's been stored inside its whole life, and this plastic's still flexible. The bracket for that heater hose was bent down, keeping me from twisting it up far enough. This hole's all blocked in that direction. Oh yeah, it's shorted out inside, look. The middle pin's connected straight to that ground on both sides. We got our resistance, of course. Should not be grounded. That's the power slot there, okay. All right, busy week. I've got to clean up this truck. It's the weekend before I can really get to that. Typically, I don't organize my tools every time I use them. I'll just straighten them up like once a week. Well, I've got to do that. I'll usually do that like right before I do a job here or something. I use bins and buckets either way to keep a set of tools or like a group of tools in a certain place so I know where to look for them at least. But yeah, I like to just straighten that all up at the end of the week and get everything back into its place exactly where I keep it for now. This carb now, I've got to clean that up and rebuild it. I've got a rebuild kit with a accelerator pump in it, so that should be fine. All right, I've gotten this mostly straightened up. I'm ready to start rebuilding that carb now. I've got a power station back here. I'm gonna be just testing that out probably in this video. I'm gonna run a light and some stuff off of it. I'll see what it can do. But let's go ahead and get to that carb. Cool, this is the Gresso power station T500. I'm guessing that means it has 500 watts of output. Yeah, 500 watts right there. Wireless charging, solar charging. Wireless charging, that's cool. Put your phone on the top. LED lighting, that's what I was pulling it out for right now because I've got some shadow on this side of the carb. I want to illuminate it. So cool, yeah, those are all things I would use this for. I think a 500, in my personal opinion, I would probably get over a 300. So 300 could be a little small for a camping trip, depending on what you're using it for. Or for work. 300 could possibly work for a full day of work. But if you're going to do anything more than just charge a computer for working during the day, probably a 500. This looks nice. Feels sturdy. I like the rubber on the edges and the handle. Cool, yeah, there's our solar input. Quick charge 3.0. Alright, I just had lunch. This power station's almost done charging. I'm super impressed by this T500. If you want one, make sure you check out the link in the description and the pinned comment for an extra discount on the Roadside Rescue channel. The nice thing though is you can have it charging and powering stuff at the same time. So let's use it to run the ultrasonic as well. Okay, let's get this going. Okay, here's that old one. I just got the new seal in there, and look, see that air coming out? That's what it's supposed to do. Is that sealed up good now? That shouldn't be the main problem, no. This was. See how it's not round? It's hard to tell. Not round though. Okay, that should be the last of everything tightened down. Let's see if we get any fuel up here. Let's watch that. Oh yeah. Well, I should have hit record. I thought I was just priming it. And I pumped the pedal once, and that's all it took to make that thing fire. Watch this. Oh yeah, see that fuel squirt? That's what it needed. And with that, it just fired right up. I'm gonna get the air cleaner and stuff on, but okay, make a couple adjustments.